Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla. Moomoo Live is showing us that the legacy automakers are still making EVs like they make ICE cars. And I think this is a much bigger problem than people might think, because people are ready for a true EV experience, as a new survey shows us. They want a computer on wheels, and they don't want an electric version of an ICE car. And brands seems to matter less when we are talking about EVs, as the numbers also shows us. Because we hear a lot about the Chinese are coming, but that is no longer the case. They are already here, and legacy automakers are not ready for this. So let's check it all out and let's dive right in. Moomoo Live is tearing down the BMW i4 M50, and just as we saw with the Ford Mach-E, the thermal system is just one big mess of hoses, and because of that you don't get a frunk in the BMW either. I know the frunk might not seem like a big thing, but it just shows you that you have a bad designed EV. And even though the Ford Mach-E also had a mess of a thermal system, it does have a great frunk. So Ford did a great job of designing the car, so as a customer you will get all you're looking for in an EV, and a bigger crumple zone in the front as well, making it safer in a head-on collision. But no one of the Germans has this, except a little frunk in the Porsche. But all the Audis, the Skodas, the Volkswagens, the Seats and so on, they don't have a frunk. Even the one built on the MEB platform. They are still making cars like they make ICE cars. And as we have seen in China, they don't want an electric version of an ICE car. They want the new smart car and all the benefits that come with an EV, like a frunk. Like I shared with you a long time ago, when Volkswagen's IDs came to China, Volkswagen started to make all these pop-up stores in front of Tesla stores. But as one of the person that was working at Volkswagen said, most of the customers came over and wanted to see the frunk, but they didn't have one. But all Teslas do, and some of the Chinese as well. Just take the Polestar as a great example. I think that is a really great EV. The specs are very close to a Tesla Model 3, and it does have a frunk. And it has some great software as well, still pretty much just Android with their own skin, but that is okay. We still get the feeling of a smart car in the Polestar 2, even with the big bezels the screen has. By no means a Tesla screen, but still it has an app store, and you can also watch Netflix and YouTube and Disney Plus in your Polestar as you can in your Tesla. Whereas if you buy the BMW i4, you get an old school looking navigation system with a very small display that is not designed for watching any videos at all. And it comes with a weather app, and Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, just as you would get if you bought a Seat or a Dacia that cost 3 times less. So the BMW's software is kind of old school in my opinion. It has a great voice control and stuff like that you will also find in your old ICE car, but all the new software fun they don't have. And I think this is going to hurt them, especially in China, which really like high-tech stuff. I know many are saying, but Tesla is not a luxury car, but there are many different kinds of luxury. And in China, that is really loving luxury, I still think they will prefer tech luxury over material luxury. So when you are trying out a Tesla or a Polestar 2 with great specs and a frunk and a lot of fun tech inside the car with their great software, and then step into a BMW i4, it just becomes a bit boring. Someone might prefer the more luxury feeling inside the car of a BMW compared to the more slick look and feel of a Tesla, but I don't think the majority will, especially in China, and that is after all the biggest market for someone like BMW and Volkswagen. But their EVs are simply just too much like an ICE car. Many wanted to do that in the beginning, making the EV feel like a nice car, so it felt normal for people to go into an EV instead of a nice car and make the transition easy for people. But I think we are way past that point. People now want an EV with all the nice benefits that gives you. They want a smartphone with a touchscreen. No one wants the so-called smartphone with a physical keyboard anymore. And the legacy automakers just feels a little bit BlackBerry to me. They are still stuck in their old ways. And there are definitely people who prefer that, like many people who would prefer the BlackBerry over the new iPhone or Android phone back in the days, but I don't think we have many of them left. So I really think this is such a bad move for someone like BMW, making an EV that already feels a little outdated with bad EV design with no frunk that just makes it feel like a converted ICE car. And with its boring software, with its small screen, you can't go get a bigger screen in your software update. Just like the Chinese guys said in this article. As someone who has bought 3 Audi's fuel cars, I just can't find a reason to buy an Audi EV. They are just too much like fuel cars, he said. Shang Xiaoman, who sold his Audi and bought a Tesla vehicle. I do think this is actually quite a big deal that many of the legacy automakers might not even be aware of. In a couple of years, we will have a lot of different EVs to choose from, in high volume as well. So what will people choose? The car that feels like an ICE car, or the one that feels like a computer on wheels? And this is where we see legacy automakers really struggling, because they are not software companies like Volkswagen, with the big trouble they have with the software company Carrot. Carrot's announced plan to integrate BlackBerry QNX into the automated driving system solution, but they already use Nvidia and Qualcomm and Bosch, and now this as well. In fact, it's quite a mix of all systems you can buy from suppliers, including everything they want to code themselves. A recipe for a software disaster. And because of this software problems, most of Volkswagen Group's EVs are being delayed. And because all the legacy automakers just realizing this now, it's all going to be about software. They are so far behind that they just continue to make EVs with the same kind of tech features you would find in your ICE car. That is why their EVs feel so much more like an ICE car. And if you have ever been in a company that's trying to make an operating system or other very big software programs, you know this is not done overnight. This takes years just to make an average software system, but to make something that can compete with the likes of Tesla is going to take maybe a decade, if they can find good enough software engineers to do it. But all the EV adoption trend shows us that they don't have 10 years. It will all be over in 10 years. And many Chinese car companies are already trying to make their EVs computers on wheels. And I know many says, but no one will buy Chinese EVs. People will stick with their known brands. But this is just not what we are seeing play out. And brands seems to matter less with EVs. Being an early mover is a big advantage, as Jessica Caldwell, executive director at Edmunds, has said. And we can also see in places like Norway, where pretty much unknown brands like the Hongqi and their EHS9, don't know if you even know this brand, well, it has already sold over 1,000 units just 6 months after it launched in Norway. This is pretty impressive in a little car market like Norway, and being quite an expensive big SUV and a pretty unknown Chinese brand. And the EHS9 is actually a top 20 EV in Norway year to date. It has sold more units in Norway year to date than Mercedes EQA or the EQC or the BMW i4, and even much more cheaper models like the Volkswagen ID3. Yeah, as we can see, people don't really care if it's called Audi or Hongqi. They want EVs. They want a smart car. They want the computer on wheels. And the shift in people's mindset about EVs is already done. In the UK, an annual Drive Away from Fossil Fuel report surveyed car buyers, and back in 2014, the survey showed that in the UK, only 1% of new car buyers would buy an EV, even if it was on price parity with an ICE car. But they have just made that survey again here in 2022, and now 100% of all car buyers in the UK would consider an EV if it was on price parity. So people are ready for EVs. They don't want an electric version of an ICE car. They want a true EV with all of its benefits, including great and entertaining software presented on a big quality screen, the instant torque, its ability to fill up at home, and its nice extra cargo space in the front. Yeah, the price just has to come down now, but we already see more affordable models in China, so it's only a matter of time before they come to Europe and the US. And legacy automakers don't seem to be ready for this. They are still just making an electric car. And this is a bigger problem than people might think, because it will take a long time for legacy automakers to fix all of this. Time they just don't have. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.